So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about 30, 60, 90 triangles. So first of all, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is 2 times the length of the shorter leg. The length of the longer leg is the length of the shorter leg times the square root of 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually label these. So notice we got our S here, our S here. So I'm going to say S is equal to the shorter leg, or the shortest leg, and it's opposite the 30-degree angle, okay? So notice here, it's opposite that 30-degree angle. Okay, then we're going to talk about our longer. So our longer leg is this one here, right? So that's going to be opposite our 60-degree angle. So we're going to call this L. Sorry, my thing messed up. So the L, and that is our longer leg, right? Which is opposite our 60-degree angle, okay? And then we have our hypotenuse, okay? So this is our hypotenuse right here, right? And it's opposite our right angle, right? So the hypotenuse, and this one's opposite the right angle, okay? Now we're going to talk about the formulas that we use for these, okay? So I read it at the beginning, but when our shorter leg is always going to be our S in our formulas, but then we're going to have a formula for our longer leg and our hypotenuse. So I'm going to do our formula for our hypotenuse first. That's this one. So that's going to be 2 times the shorter leg, okay? And then we're also going to have a formula for our long leg, and that's going to be the shorter leg times the square root of 3. And the way I keep the square root of 3 and the square root of 2 straight is that this triangle has 3 unique sides, whereas the 45, 45, 90 has 2 different side lengths. And this has 3 different angles, whereas the 45, 45, 90 has 2 distinct angle differences, okay? So then example, and you try one, say find the values of x, give your answers in simplest radical form. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and label these like we know. This is our short leg, this is our long leg, and this is our hypotenuse. Now as you work through these, you might not have to do this every time, but it's a good way to start. So we know we have our hypotenuse, so h is equal to 2 times our short leg, right? So now we're just going to sub in what we have. So we have 22 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2, so x is equal to 11. Now we should know that that's your short leg, right? Okay, so when we start talking about our long leg now, our long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3, right? Okay, so our long leg is our y, and remember, x was our short leg, so that's now, we know what that is. That's 11. So that's going to be 11 square root of 3, okay? So go ahead and do the you try on the right, and come back to me when you're done. All right, on this one again, I'm going to label, this is equal to S, this is equal to L, and this is equal to H, right? See where they are, opposite those angles, okay? So here again, we have H is equal to 2 times the short leg, so 34 is equal to 2 times X, divide both sides by 2, so X is equal to 17. Then we're going to talk about our long leg again. And our long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. And I'm going to suggest to you guys that you write this over and over again so that way you'll know it by the time we're done. So here L is y. And then our S we just got was 17, and that's going to be the square root of 3. Okay? So now we're going to move on to our next two. So it says example, and you try 2, find the values of x and y, and give your answers in simplest radical form. Okay, on this next one again, going to do the same thing we've been doing. So this is now our S, this is now our L, and this is our H, right? So this time we have a value for L, so I'm going to use our L formula. So L is equal to S square root of 3, right? So that means I'm going to put our 15 here, and I'm going to put my x there in the square root of 3. So now this should look familiar because we can't, we got to divide out that square root of 3 on both sides. And then we can't have a radical in the denominator. So this is going to be the square root of 3. We're going to multiply this by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So that's going to give us 15 square root of 3 over, hopefully you can see that that's going to be the square root of 9. So, and that was equal to our x, right? So we're going to keep going. So this is going to be 15 square root of 3, and the square root of 9 is 3. And hopefully you can see that that 15 can be divided by that 3. So our x value is actually going to be 5 square root of 3. And remember, that's also our short leg. So now when we look for our hypotenuse is going to be 2 times the short leg, right? So that's going to be our y, and it's going to be equal to 2 times 5 square root of 3. And you guys should treat that radical like a variable. So that means y is equal to 10 square root of 3. Okay? All right, let's see if you guys can do the u-try next to it here and come back to me when you're done. So I'm going to once again label these. So this is going to be my S. This is going to be my L. This is going to be my H. Okay? And then once again, I have L. So I'm going to use the L formula. L is equal to S square root of 3, right? So we've got 7 square root of 3 is equal to X square root of 3. So your process here should be the same as it was on the last one. So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3. Only this time, what do you notice immediately? They cancel each other out, don't they? So that's just 7 is equal to x. Okay, so that's our short side, remember. Okay, so when we look for our hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short side. So our hypotenuse is y. And we're going to do 2 times our x, which was our short side. So that's going to be 2 times 7, right? So y is going to be equal to 14. All right, so our example in u-try 3. So this one's, again, we're going to label like we've been doing. So this is going to be our L. This is going to be our S. This is going to be our H, right? So I always have to orient those so that I can think through clearly how to do them. So this time we have our short leg. So it doesn't matter which one we solve for first. So I'm just going to solve for my hypotenuse first because that's 2 times S, right? So our hypotenuse is y. So we're going to go 2 times 5. So that's going to be y is equal to 10, right? Then I'm going to solve for my long leg. Well, my long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So here my long leg is x. So x is equal to the 5 times the square root of 3. That was an easy one, right? Pretty much done. So when you have the short leg, it is always pretty easy. All right, pause the video, do the next one, the u-try 3, and then come back to me when you're done. So here again, this is our short leg, right? I'm going to do this in a different, and that's our long leg, and that's our hypotenuse. So here again, I'm going to say h is equal to 2 times the short leg. So y is equal to 2 times 10, yes? So y is equal to 20. So our hypotenuse is equal to 20. Then we're going to talk about our long leg, and we're going to use that formula L equals 2s times the square root of 3, right? So we're going to, again, L was x this time. Our short leg was 10, and the square root of 3. So we're done with that one. All right, let's see if you guys can do this u-try at the bottom, and come back to me when you're done. Go ahead and label things first. So here we have that this is S, this is L, and this is H. So this one's going to be H equals 2 times the short leg. So that's 18 square root of 3 is equal to 2 times x. Divide both sides by 2. So we're going to divide that 18 by 2. So that's going to give us 9 square root of 3 is equal to x, right? Then we're going to find our long leg. So our long leg is equal to s times the square root of 3, right? So that would be y is equal to, and we had 9 square root of 3 for our short leg. So we're going to multiply that by the square root of 3. So that's going to be y is equal to 9 times the square root of 9. So y is equal to 9 times 3, because the square root of 9 is 3, and y is equal to 27. So on this next one, it says, Andre tries leaning the cards against each other so that the angle at the top is 60. Find the height x of the top of the card. So this is going to be a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Hopefully all of y'all can see that because we have this line here, and we have that right there, right? Okay. So it's saying that this is our hypotenuse, right? And it's telling us that the base over here is 3.15. And if I didn't know that, then I could still solve for it. So this would also be 3.15 right here, y'all. Okay, now let me show you why I know that. Because 2 times the short leg is equal to the hypotenuse, right? So the hypotenuse is 6.3. If we divide that by 2, right? Divide that by 2. Whoops. Divide that by 2. That means that S is going to be equal to 3.15. Now, if we're trying to find the height's going to be our long leg, isn't it? Isn't this going to be our long leg, and it's our X? So X is going to be equal to the short leg, which is 3.15 times the square root of 3, right? Now, if I multiply that in my calculator, I get that this is 5.46 centimeters. Remember, if it's a word problem, we don't want the radical in it unless they tell you to, okay? So go ahead and do these next 2 U-tries and come back to me when you're done. So we're going to go ahead and label these again. This is my hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. This is my short leg. This is my long leg. So I have the hypotenuse, so I'm going to use that formula, h equals 2 times the short leg. So our short leg this time is y, so we're going to go 14 equals 2y, divide both sides by 2. So y is equal to 7. So we know it's not this answer, and we know it's not that answer. Now let's go ahead and multiply that. Our L is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3, right? So that's our X is equal to 7 times the square root of 3. So X 7, 3, so the answer was D here, right? Okay, so on our next one, again, let's label first, okay? So this is my short leg, this is my hypotenuse, this is my long leg, okay? So this time we have the long leg, so we're going to use that L formula. L is equal to S square root of 3, right? So that's going to be 3 square root of 3 is equal to V square root of 3. Hopefully you see that we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3. Which is going to eliminate that square root of 3 from there. So V is going to be equal to 3. So that's our short leg, right? So to get our hypotenuse, don't we multiply 2 times the short leg? So our hypotenuse is U. So U is going to be 2 times 3. So U is going to be 6. So we got V. Okay, U is 6. So it's definitely not that one. It's not that one. Okay, and then V was 3. So U is 6, V is 3 right there. That's B. Okay. So the next one says, wow, that's really tight, y'all. So let me move this down and over a little bit. It's kind of big. Jeremy's going to show off his skateboarding ability to his geometry class. He has a skateboard ramp that must be set up to rise from the ground at 30 degrees. If the height from the ground to the platform is 8 feet. How far is the ramp to the platform? How long is the ramp to the top of the platform? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw this. It says ramp must be set up to rise from the ground at 30 degrees. So if I'm rising from the ground at 30 degrees, that means I got a 30 right here, right? Then it tells us how that the ramp, the height from the ground to the platform. Okay, so let me see if I can make this a straight line right here, maybe. There we go. The height from the ground to the platform, it says, is 8 feet, right? And then this would be a right angle, yes? So that means that this would be a 60-degree angle, right? So this is our hypotenuse, obviously. This is our short leg over here, and this is our long leg, okay? So it says, how far is the ramp to the platform? How far is the ramp to the platform? So we're going to find our hypotenuse. So our hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg. So our hypotenuse is going to be 2 times 8. So that's 16, right? So that's how far is this is the ramp to platform, right? Then it says, how long is the ramp to the top? Oh, no. Yeah, that is it says, how long is the ramp up to the top of the platform? So that's what this is. Ramp to top of platform, okay? Then we're going to solve for the L, okay? L is going to be equal to S square root of 3, right? So that's going to be 8 square root of 3. So go ahead and compute what that is. 8 times the square root of 3 is going to be 13.9 feet. Okay? So this was 16 feet right here. That was one of our answers, and this was our other answer. All right, let's see if you guys can do this last one. It says, Aaron saw an old yield sign and brought it from the antique store. Bought it from the antique store. He wanted to hang it up in his room because it looked cool, and it was in the shape of an equilateral triangle. So an equilateral triangle means we have all three angles that are 60 degrees, right? So we got 60, 60. I don't know if I can make one of these. Y'all try 60, something like that, okay? So this is 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. It says the length of one side is 34 inches. What's the height? Okay, so if this is 34 inches right here, then they're asking us for the height, then that means we want to split that angle in half, right? And then create two right angles. So that means now this is 30 degrees, right? So now we have the hypotenuse, right? It would mean all of these sides would have been 34 inches, right? 34 inches, which means that this half over here would have been 17 inches, yes? So we have our hypotenuse and we have our short leg because we could have divided that 34 inches in half. So then it means that our height, which is going to be our long leg, right? So our long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So our height is going to be equal to, actually I'm going to write height this time so you don't think I'm talking about hypotenuse. The height is going to be 17 times the square root of 3. And when you multiply 17 times the square root of 3, you get 29.4 inches.